Hey guys, it is Wednesday, October 8th, 2014, and comic book time. Really excited. It's the day before Comic-Con, so this is the last batch before we find out a whole lot of spoilers for the future. Lots of new stuff. Really excited, so let's just get through this so I'm all prepared for Comic-Con. It's gonna be fun. So, from a couple weeks back, I have read Sonja number 12. Just read it this week. Really liked it. It was a really good ending to this arc. In case I haven't talked about this arc before, Sonja was tasked with finding 6 of the most talented people in the world. It was like the world's best cook, the world's best swordsman, the world's best dancer, the world's best courtesan, the world's best animal tamer, and the world's best kind of fortune teller. Is that 6? Am I missing one? I might be missing one anyway. Who else is there? No, that's everyone. So recruiting these people. So you have Sonja, the dancer, fortune teller, swordsman. I forgot the word I used earlier, and I don't want to say prostitute because that's not right. Her animal trainer and gourmet chef. So she was tasked to find this team of people by an emperor who was about to die, and said, if you find me these people to perform at my funeral or death celebration, pre-death celebration thing, whatever, then I will free all my slaves. So Sonja agreed to this. She went over, and like every issue of this book, she's recruiting members, of the party to bring back. And so in this one, she finds the last member really easily, but too easily, and then goes off to go to the emperor and say, I found your people, let's have this party, free all your slaves. But of course the emperor's like, nah, never mind, I'm going to keep all my slaves. And then there's this big fight that involves all of the members of her new party and everything, and it's just all comes together really well. It's a really good conclusion, because over the arc, we've seen all these characters, kind of like the Wizard of Oz. You have, Dorothy meet the Scarecrow, and they become friends, and then they meet Tin Man, and then they all become friends. So you have, with each new member, you're basically living a full issue to see how they all react to each other, how they all bounce around to each other. And so you have these really developed characters by the end of this arc. And now you're seeing what they all do when they're all fully developed, when they're a full party, all fighting for the same cause. And it's just this really, everything in this book feels worth it, like it all feels like it makes sense, like this is the ending we're supposed to get to it. And it's a really fun book. Like I would pick up the trade of this, because it feels like a really nice complete story with a nice build up, nice climax and everything. Just a really, really solid, fun arc to read. If you haven't been reading it as the books come out, definitely pick it up and trade, even if you're not a Red Sonja fan, because it's just a damn good story. Now moving on to books from this week, we have Captain Marvel number 8, second issue of this current arc, where we find out that Captain Marvel's cat is actually a flurkin, which is what Rocket has been calling it. She's like, nah, flurkin's some sort of alien, my cat's just a cat. Of course it happens to be a flurkin. And I think this is actually the conclusion of it too. Very short arc, which I like. I like short arcs, So nice short arc you have here. Basically the conclusion, last issue, as Carol Danvers so eloquently explains, left off with an alien ship who are hunting the Flurkins, found Captain Marvel's cat, and now Captain Marvel and crew basically have to fight off the things while wrangling all of the Flurkin babies off ship, to save them. And so this is all just big, it's all like a big action scene, not much character development until the very end. So basically Captain Marvel's fighting the ship in space, Rocket's trying to take control of Harrison, which is Captain Marvel's ship, get all computers back online and everything. And you have, what's her name, Kit, or I totally forget her name. This is bad. Tick. Yeah, Tick basically wrangling all the kittens, trying to get them off ship. And so, kind of hectic, But it's hectic for them. You know, it's easy to follow as the book arc's all nice and you have lots of good blues and yellows. Rocket's adorable. I just love. I try and find a panel where just this is adorable. Where Rocket and the cat just Flurkin rather just ate a large part of what was attacking the ship, which is why Rocket's dumbstruck. And then it basically ends with the start of a new mission, basically. Well, not a new mission, just the start of, more adventures. So nice, clean ending, nice 2-issue arc. Pretty good, pretty funny, solid overall. 2 issues, if you're just interested, I would check it out. It's a pretty good indication of the sort of feel that Captain Marvel has had so far, so pick it up. Checking my phone because it buzzed. It's nothing that important. Moving on to Amazing Spider-Man number 7, which, as you can see on the cover, crossover with Miss Marvel, and I think we get some Spider-Verse at the end of the book too, which I'm going to mention, but only in passing because it seems to be just like a short Edge of Spider-Verse story. Basically, we have a new artist on the book. At least this is the first time I'm noticing it. If it started last issue, but I'm pretty sure new artist. You can see from this style, it's a little more realistic, a little more detailed. Not exactly my cup of tea. I mean, I prefer the more stylized, animated sort of look, but this looks really good too. I know I'm close, look at Silk, look at the sexualized character, but I'm just saying that because that's the first page and it's kind of the most. There's lots of lines on it. I don't know if this is the Captain Marvel artist because I haven't actually been picking up. I mean, the Miss Marvel artist because I haven't been picking up Miss Marvel. But I mean, I want to. I'm just gonna wait until this arc concludes. Maybe I'll picking up like the first 2 trades and then I'll catch up. Because I do hear it's really good. So basically, Miss Marvel and Spider-Man teaming up to fight another Kree who's donned the original Miss Marvel costume. As they're rounding up the Inhumans still in the cocoons, which is more of the plot from Miss Marvel because she herself is an Inhuman, and of course you have Miss Marvel freak out because she's a huge fangirl of all the superheroes. She's like freaking out and talking about shipping and all that. It's really cute. I really like this character, Camilla, I think her name is. It's so great. It's like having a fan in the book. I don't know. It's fun to read. I enjoy it. But it's a pretty short story. This is how it ends. Just, boss, turned into its final form or whatever. Mainly it's about getting Silk out of the picture, Spider-Man meeting Miss Marvel, and them starting the fight. And you have just that kind of character interaction. Really good. I really like both characters. I like how they're bouncing off each other because they're both sort of these really, more younger. I mean, Spider-Man's not young, but more not so serious heroes. And then at the end over here, you have the Spider-Verse tie-in with the Captain Britain Spider-Man or whatever. And I just love, basically, he's using some sort of Cerebro-type machine to see into all these alternate universes. And I love just the ones they decide to put in this book. So the first one he sees is the Spider-Man and his Amazing Friends universe. Which is, like, I don't know, that's just, like, they really are including all of the Spider-Man here, and I love what, like, Moreland says over here. He's like, Spider-Man has no words to describe what he's done, because, of course, it was, like, a show for really young kids, and they can't say the word kill, so the word literally is not in his vocabulary. I love it. It's just, like, that sort of detail, And then you have a cat Spider-Man, or maybe a Flurkin Spider-Man, who's to say? And then, I'm pretty sure, I'm like 99% sure, this is actually Spider-Man Unlimited, which was a terrible, awful Spider-Man cartoon that ran for maybe like half a year. It was just really bad. But they're including that. They're throwing that one in here too. And Spider-Verse, I have a feeling, in spite of its quality, however good it may or may not be, it's looking like it's going to be good, but in spite of all that, it's just going to be fun to see how they integrate all of the different Spider-Men that they're integrating. I mean, we've already seen some of it, but having just like Spider-Man and his Amazing Friend Spider-Man. I don't know. I found that really fun. I'm really enjoying this. But good issue overall. I mean, pick it up if you're a Miss Marvel fan, I guess. I don't know. Miss Marvel's in it. I like her in it. I don't know if she's like that much different from her main book. And the Spider-Verse tie-in, not too overbearing, so probably skippable if you're just in it for the main Spider-Verse books. But good, it's a good book. I had fun. Fun book. Moving on to Future's End, which I'm starting to like on a more consistent basis. Or maybe this was just a good issue. First part, I mean, they're getting a lot better about the whole jumping about thing. So, like, first part of this book is just kind of where we left off in the last one. Adam freed Black Adam from the Phantom Zone to fight Brainiac. They all decide to get off-world, back on Earth. You were following up with these characters. I forget. I'm so bad at their names. I'm so bad at names. Why am I so bad at names? Madison and Tim Drake, who just broke up. So following them, seeing what happens there. Jumping again to the Voodoo's team of people who are working with Cole, the Grifter, who's kind of, they're all in one boat, I guess. They discover Sergeant Rock, who, I want to say Sergeant Fury. He just has a very strong Nick Fury tone, especially with the eye patch or monocle or whatever that is. More stuff there with Cadmus, and then the last kind of back of the book follows in the future, where we have an older Mr. Terrific talking to Brother Eye, and we discover what Brother Eye ended up doing with Batman, which is just so freaky, sewing Batman and Joker together. It seems really, I don't know how to think about this right now. I'm going to take a while to process, going to have to see where it goes. It's like really weird initially. It's like, whoa, they're doing this. That's so weird. But really, we're going to have to see how it plays out, because it could go really good, you know, just having these two opposing people so close to each other, or really bad because it just seems like they're trying too hard, maybe. I don't know. But that's where we end. And then all the DC books this month end with this kind of like a movie trailer. It feels like a movie trailer reading it, but more Future's End stuff where we get this. And this is in the back of every book, but because this is Future's End, I'm going to show it here. And then, where were we? And then we have more little flash scenes. And just like reading it, for me, feels like a movie trailer. And there we go. So, yeah, just this book it's finally, I think, finding a good pace to go in. Like we're hitting 23 issues, so there's finally meat. You know, we're kind of done with the spearhead of exposition, so we're finally getting just some good meaty chunks of story, like actual progress story, no more establishing things, but actually going ahead, which is fun. And, you know, we haven't seen everything crossover yet, but at this point, that's still a bit of a ways off, I guess, the crossover. But just developing each story individually, the way they're starting to do that now, the more recent issues, is really good. Yeah, that's that one. Moving on to a big issue, Batgirl 35. We get the debut of the new costume, new creative team. New costume, which is still like the best costume in comics right now. So that's really cool. And I have just kind of conflicted feelings about it. I know I said this about Gotham Academy last week, but I think it applies even more to this one. This just looks like a kind of elongated Scott Pilgrim, the art style. It's very animated, you know, very kind of saturated colors. The faces are kind of simple shapes, like especially in like this panel, you have kind of like simple shapes, kind of scratchy, but you get just a lot of detail in terms of movement and animation. I mean, not animation, but in terms of, I guess, just movement and emotion. But you know, really cartoony. I really like it. I dig this style, if we're being completely honest. And like over here, I don't know. It looks really nice in my opinion. You get like just like the rooftop feels a lot different than. Let me get to another scene. But like over here, you have Barbara just going around her apartment. But like here, look at those, like just the facial expression here, where it's kind of simple, but you get so much out of it. And now each kind of part is very different. And so I'm really liking the art. I like just a lot. The story, it's a bit too early to tell. It's not offensive per se. The issue I'm having with this book is more kind of based in the premise than anything else, which is it's not exactly fair to judge something on premise so hard, in my opinion, because it has more about what they're going to say, and they really haven't gotten far enough to say anything yet. But the basic premise of the Batgirl new creative team, all that, is that Batgirl is moving to the Williamsburg of Gotham, called Burnside. And the book feels like, again, I don't want to say like trying too hard, but like I kind of feel the characterization, the dialogue and everything, it's good. Like I'm not saying it's bad, but it feels as though this could have been written by someone who heard about hipsters, you know, who are like, oh, hipsters, yeah, I get it. I've heard jokes about hipsters, I've read about hipsters, and is just trying to emulate all of what they know about that just from what they heard. And it doesn't feel fake. It doesn't feel phony right now. It doesn't feel disingenuous. But, I mean, I don't live in Williamsburg, but I do live in New York. This is a culture, you know, that I have some experience with. You know, I don't go to raves or anything like depicted in this book, but the general kind of waterfront Brooklyn, brownstone, young adult, teenage, hipster. Look at these glasses. I mean, I know I'm not unfamiliar with this sort of lifestyle. And like with this sort of dialogue and all that. And there's some points where it just feels like, you ever see a commercial or a show with teenagers and you're like, oh my god, this was written by a 30-year-old who thinks this is what teenagers sound like. And it's just teetering on the edge of that. Where again, it doesn't feel phony, but it feels a little forced. Again, but I do like this a lot more. I do like the style they're going for. I like how this is kind of so unabashedly different than so many other superhero books, that it's going to a different place. It's addressing, you know, just kind of a culture that other books don't address in terms of where this is taking place and the people who are there, and the dialogue and all that. So it just feels so very different, and I'm sure it's just that we're getting sort of media I'd see more on TV or on the internet in a comic book, and it's just like the whole medium dysmorphia sort of thing going on. Yeah, it's going to be complicated. I'm going to definitely have to ease my way more into this book, but I do appreciate what it's doing. I do appreciate how it's being just so unabashed about it and saying, you know, these are the people that this comic is aimed to. You know, we're aimed towards this more Williamsburg, or these young adult kind of people who are aware of this Williamsburg lifestyle, this, you know, the kind of the more hipster culture and all that. And, you know, this is a comic for them, about them, in a way. Because it's not making fun of them. At least not yet. So yeah, it's a really weird book. I'm going to have to pass it around to a couple of my friends and see what they think of it. But yeah, no, pick it up if only for the experience of reading something so unlike everything else right now. Especially because it is still a superhero book. It's not like an independent comic like Sex Criminals or something, where you have just the whole topic and premise and everything is so different and doesn't feel like a superhero book. This is a superhero book where the premise and everything is so much different, you know, where the setting and all that. So it's, yeah, like I said, I'm gonna have to read more of it to really form a concrete opinion. But right now, I'm interested enough to continue reading, if that says anything about that. So there we go. Moving on to something a little more familiar, Batman Eternal, issue 27. There we go. Kind of another, like, I think last week's kind of more of a rest issue. We were picking up a little more speed again, you know, we're climbing up that much, you know, that ramp a bit more, but we're going down, I don't know. But it, you know, there's no more explosions. Right now it's building up again. And so we get a little bit of Killer Croc hunting down Jade in Arkham. A little bit more of that, following that story. We also, as you can see on the bottom, Batgirl Batgirl 35, Batgirl. Also the Batman Eternal stuff, because they're still using this armor, this costume design. Timeline's going to get confusing eventually, but I'm pretty sure this all takes place after Eternal. So we have Eternal right here, back in the past, that Batgirl. Kind of going after Jason Bard, because she knows now that Bard is in with Hush, because she has the evidence of her father. Meanwhile, you have a bit more Batman Catwoman here. They're talking about how, they're beating up goons trying to find information on Hush. That's what they're basically doing, but they're also having a conversation about their relationship, just as, you know, as crime fighters. And that's really important in kind of these 2 pages over here. And you see Catwoman really kind of, she's fighting against the kind of relationship that she has with Batman, that fans know that she has with Batman. In this, it's interesting to see how, because, like, you know, she's this weird character where she's independent but still kind of tied to Batman, just in the overall Catwoman character sense. And so with this, we see she's kind of flexing her independence a lot more than the I have a crush on Batman side. It's fun to read. I'm enjoying it. And she's being targeted by a whole bunch of the mob now too, because of things that happened earlier in her career. We have the return of the Flamingo from the time where Dick was in the Cowl, the Cape and Cowl. And then we also have Spoiler's first interaction with Batman, which is very interesting. Kind of Tim Drake-ish, just in terms of what she's doing and how she's interacting with Batman, saying, you know, there's all this information about you online, as like where you've been, whatever, and just by using this information, I began to track you. So this is how I gave you this note. So kind of clever. Really liking Spoiler. And then we have basically more Batgirl's Batman interrogation of Jason Bard. So this book feels a lot more bouncy than Forever Evil, but it's still consistently written. It's still like a good read, so no points off. Still easier to follow, and it doesn't feel as like messy as Forever Evil, as Futures Ended in its messiest parts. But again, hard to recommend because it's a weekly, because it's still, you know, even though pacing might be a little off, it's still going, you know, 1 issue per week. So if you're not already reading, you know, catch up. I really enjoy it. Catch up and keep reading, because this is going to be really cool, really insane. In my opinion, from what I read, I really enjoyed it, as you can tell, because I'm still picking it up. And anyway, moving from Batman Eternal to simply Batman, I got the variant cover because that's what they had at my store, and I didn't mind paying $1 just to get it, because, you know, it's Batman, I know it's going to be good. And, you know, the cover's not bad. Kind of a vampire Batman going on. Not bad. Not bad. But this is the start of Endgame, which is the next big, I don't know, 10-issue arc by Snyder and Capullo, I don't know why I forgot his name, it's right there, by Capullo. And I don't want to talk much about this. I don't want to really spoil anything in the book. But, like, the first thing I noticed is, we go from Zero Year, which has this very kind of dark neon. I mean, that doesn't make sense. It's kind of a contradiction, but, like, this dark but neon color scheme. You know, it was very kind of magenta and orange and all that, and reeked of, like, night. Not reeked, but, like, felt like night with all these bright lights. And now we have Gotham in the day. And just by changing the color, the book has a drastically different tone. And it's kind of insane, and I really enjoy it. Really lends, to like, wow, look at just what a change of color can do to a book, And it feels really cool. And so we're dealing, as you can tell from the title page right there, it says this takes place after the events of Eternal. So we're seeing some fallout, a lot of fallout from Batman Eternal. The first thing we're introduced to, of which is there's a new Batcave that happens to be in a high-rise in the former headquarters of the Parliament of Owls. Court of Owls, not Parliament of Owls. The Court of Owls, one of their former high-rise bases in a skyscraper in Gotham, in the middle of Gotham, with windows. We see that Julie is still here, still acting as a contact with Bruce, and that Bruce is having these nightmares because of a scarecrow fear toxin. But we have, if you look, we have kind of the stuff that we saw in other books, like the Future's End books, where you have Bluebird over here, you have the Robin we saw in the Batman and Robin Future's End tie-in. So that's kind of neat how they're doing that. Not Batman, yeah, the Batman and Robin Future's End tie-in. You also have a more light-hearted Batman. We see him laugh, which isn't completely alien, but especially with the day and all that, you get this just completely different tone. And then we get into the meat of the story, which is Justice League members attacking Bruce, and we're not sure why at first. I'm not going to spoil what happens at the end, which means I'm not going to talk about the second story, the little backup story at the end of this book, because that would spoil it. But then Batman gets into the super armor, starts beating up other members of the Justice League as they come attack him. So, defeating the Flash, and then defeating Aquaman before the big guy comes. I shouldn't have to mention who he is, but Superman. This one panel feels very Hush. If you guys read Hush, you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, I'm just gonna say, I've trusted Snyder for 35 issues, and this book has not dissuaded me. This looks to be, he said on Twitter, he said to different comics outlets that this is going to be his most insane arc ever, and I believe him. And like Zero Year was insane, Death of the Family was insane. He keeps on just ratcheting it up, and I don't know how, especially without just a sudden drop in quality, just because you have so much going on. But the guy is talented, he writes a damn good Batman, and if you haven't already started reading Batman, go back and pick it up from issue 1 of the New 52. There is not a single bad issue in the run, and it looks like this is going to be more of the same greatness. Continuing about Snyder, we have the debut of his new independent book, Wytches, issue 1 from Image Comic, which is a very different feel than Batman. A lot darker, actually, a lot kind of scarier. You can tell, again, just from the art, it feels a whole lot different. It feels a whole lot more violent and creepy, and it is. It didn't make me shudder. It didn't make me shit my pants or anything, but you do have a lot of kind of disturbing imagery and disturbing thematic things going on. Main plot of the story seems to be that this family has moved to the middle of nowhere, pretty much. Daughter is attending a new school. Father is a comic book artist. Mom is in a wheelchair, and that's basically all we know about her so far. But the daughter, whose name is Sale, her right here, who looks a little like Barbara Gordon but isn't, her name is Sailor, and the reason that her family moved to this town is because she was accused of killing another girl in her class, which we find out in this issue did not happen. Something a whole lot weirder happened. She was eaten by trees. This is a bully. She was bullying Sale. threatened to kill Sailor, and then she's eaten by a tree. Sailor is blamed for the murder, but of course they can't prove it because it didn't happen like that. But her whole family has to pack up and move because of everything happening. But the weird shit follows them around. So we have this deer that invades the family's home and pukes up a thing. And then at the end of the book, Sailor goes missing, and we have a creepy witch thing in a tree. So not a lot of explanation. I mean, we get kind of build up, we know everything, we're set up very firmly, stake in the ground, but lots of mystery, and it just feels, it's a great book just tonally. You get that everything's weird, that everything's off, things are messed up, and they could be violent, and they could be messy. And that establishes just in the first few pages where you get a completely different story. Well, actually, the first page is just a definition of the word witch. But then we have just this woman trapped in a tree, and that's the first kind of thing we're greeted with. And it's just so spooky. It's really creepy. It's really good because it's not, outlandishly creepy. It's not like, a Jason or something. It's not like a ghoul. It's just this really, not subtle, but a more non-violent kind of creepy. Just something is wrong here, and something is going to end badly. And then at the end of the book, you have a letter from Scott Snyder telling the reader about his inspiration for this story, which was that when he was younger, he used to explore through the woods, looking for witches with his friends, just because he was, a kid. That's what kids do. And the scariest, the letter itself has a jump scare in it, and I'm not exactly sure how he's magic, to include a jump scare and a letter to the reader like that, that's pretty great. So needless to say, I'm excited. If you're into scarier books, I would probably start picking this up because it looks like it's gonna get pretty dark and pretty good. And it's Scott Snyder, who has not disappointed me so far. So, yes, that is that. And moving on to the last book that came out this week. I'm going to say my favorite book in all of comics right now, Sex Criminals, number 8, written by Matt Fraction and Chip Zdarsky. Number 8, we see the introduction of a new character, Robert Rainbow. Don't know if you can make out his name there. There it is, Robert Rainbow. I just said it. And you just have a continuation of the best book in the world right now, in my opinion. Just so great. Not a single bad punctuation mark or letter. Just everything is perfect. I was laughing from page 1. I mean, it's awesome. If you're not reading Sex Criminal, just start. You don't have to watch this. That's all you need to know. Just start reading Sex Criminals. She's an OBGYN right now. She's getting a vaginal checkup. I don't know what the term is called. Gynecologist, not OBGYN. Gynecologist. She's in a gynecologist. I can't believe I mixed that up. She's in her gynecologist's office right now. This is Robert Rainbow. He's a handsome doctor guy. Her gown has sensual Gary on it, who is like this. He appears just randomly throughout the Sex Criminals book on sorts of things, and it's just this drop down list of single, married, smingle, divorced, brimpin'. Just everything is perfect in this book. I love it. But story wise, basically what's going on. Oh, and this page is so important. This page teaches readers more about contraception than most United States school curriculums. I mean, it's amazing. A book called Sex Criminals has one of the most comprehensive one-page summaries of contraception just in kind of culture right now. That's pretty cool. I like that. That's really enjoyable. And it's fun to read. It's all bright colors. You have, a sexy black doctor taking off his clothes. You have an actual kind of human dialogue going on about all of it. There are jokes. It's a neat, this one page is so neat. Just a very neat page. And so basically, I'm just flipping through the book, rereading it because it's so great. So basically, we have the backstory of this new character, Robert Rainbow, and we have this brilliant shirt, which is, if it's not made into a real shirt by the end of the month, that is a crime. But I don't know if you can read it. It says, "Sensual Gary says no to AIDS." It's, oh man, it's so great. It's so great. So basically, a big chunk of this book is Robert Rainbow's backstory, and then we get another chunk, which is a bit more of John dealing with his psychoses. We get a bit more history of him and his history with women, which is pretty neat. He sees a movie called Trunk whenever he gets depressed, and he just goes to a theater, buys the first ticket he can. And so when he broke up with his kind of first girl he made out with, Shrunk came out in his teens, and then when he breaks up with Susie, you have Shrunk 4. I don't know, just funny sight gags. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So he runs out of his therapist's office, which is located in a strip mall, when he runs into this other therapist who he starts talking to. And it's just like this really real human dialogue, and that's what I really enjoy about this book, probably more than anything else, is that all of the characters feel real. They talk like real people about, kind of, aside from the whole stopping time on orgasm thing, about like real issues about sexuality, identity, relationships, and all that, and they handle it like people, which is, it's really cool, like, to read something like that. And I just love all of the there's so many sight gags and background jokes. So like in the mall, you have this restaurant called Salad Cake, and on the menus over there you have cakes made of salad and salads made of cakes. It's everything in this book is like, there's always something to laugh at this book, and just how all the characters interact. Everything's so clean, and I mean not clean as in like subject matter, but clean as in just very cleanly presented, very nicely done. I mean, it's just, there is not a single thing wrong with Sex Criminals. It is like a 10 out of 10, perfect piece of anything. So if you're not reading it by now, just read it. I don't have to review this anymore. It's going to be good. And I only do it as a formality and to tell more people to read Sex Criminals. I tell everyone. It's just awesome. And I'm so glad Matt Fraction is going to be at New York Comic Con, which I'm going to tomorrow. That's the last book, by the way. New York Comic Con tomorrow. Very excited. Matt Fraction's going to be there. Kelly Sue DePhoenix's going to be there. Scott Snyder's going to be there. Dan Slott's going to be there. Brian Michael Bendis, I'm pretty sure, is going to be there. Gail Simone's going to be. Everyone's going to be there, and hopefully I get to at least like wave and say hi. I'm a fan. Anyway, so yeah, that's the books. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you like it, I hope you tune in next time for more comic book reviews. And that's that. I've been thinking about changing up the format. I'm gonna give it a bit more thought if I want to change the format of this video. And of course, I'll make an update video if I decide to do anything. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you come again next week.